started, and as others join, they can join us in as we go along tonight. But thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. We appreciate you all taking the time. Just before we get started, if your name appears on the screen as Christina Arroyo right now, please feel free to change it to your actual name. I apologize. We had some technical difficulties earlier. So if your name comes up as Christina, feel free to change it to your own name because we already have our lovely Rena here with us tonight. But again, thank you all for joining. For anybody that does not know me, I'm Alex Herron. I'm the Assistant Director in the Office of Alumni and Parent Engagement at Stetson University on the DeLand campus. Just a little bit about me and some of the work I do in the office. So we kind of collab on a lot of great things, but a couple of things I get to do. I work with our admissions team and putting on some great admission events to get prospective students and their families on campus and connected with alumni. I get to work with our amazing athletics coaches and staff on some of their alumni efforts. And then I work on general alumni events, such as this one. Obviously, this targeted to students as well, but a lot of great alumni and student-focused events we get to do out of our office. We are a great resource for any students that are on campus. We love helping connect you with alumni in any fields you're interested in or any areas you might want to break into. We can certainly help you get connected there. So feel free to add us on LinkedIn and all that good stuff. I'll drop some links in the chat later, and Liz will do so as well. But again, thank you all for joining. We've got a great presentation from Sumner, Katz, and Justin tonight. We're very thankful to have them. And I'm going to turn it over to Rena Arroyo and let her introduce herself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am so excited to have you all here. This is a great full house. It's an important topic. I want to quickly introduce myself, Rena Tovar Arroyo. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Parent and Alumni Engagement here at Stetson. And the other folks who are with us on the program, besides our speakers, are Liz Connor, right over there, waving, from our Career and Professional Development Office. She'll be presenting at the end. And Dr. Harry Price. Hi, Dr. Price. He is, as you all know, he is one of our best professors here on campus in the chemistry department and has been part of the brains behind getting this program together. So I am really excited to be the person who gets to introduce all of you to this evening's speakers. Our first presenter is Mr. Sumner Katz. Sumner, can you wave? He's right over there. Sumner is a proud Stetson parent who is loved far and wide on campus. He is good friends with Stetson's 9th president, Wendy Libby. And I also consider Sumner a very dear friend, and I'm so excited for this evening's program. His daughter, Vanessa, is a senior here at Stetson, majoring in business administration. She's here with us tonight. And I want to give a very special welcome to the rest of Sumner's family, friends, and colleagues who are on the call supporting us. Welcome to Stetson's Zoom call tonight. So let me introduce Sumner to you. Sumner Katz is a rare breed of food scientist and entrepreneur. He founded Imbibe in the summer of 1963 as a young flavor chemist. After earning an undergraduate degree at Tufts University and performing postgraduate work with Dr. Proctor at MIT, Mr. Katz had the opportunity to work with the USA's Natick Laboratory and the Army Corps of Engineers to develop ingredients technologies that would be better used to position American soldiers deployed across the world. Mr. Katz was also granted his first patent, his first one, in 1958 in what has since become a career of 50 years plus as a food science innovator and an acclaimed beverage scientist. Mr. Katz's manufacturing expertise was recognized by the US military in 1977 when he was awarded the contract of overseeing 9 water and dairy plants located in 7 different countries around the world, serving both US military personnel and civilians. For the past 20 years, Mr. Katz has largely focused his time on training Imbibe's ever-expanding team of beverage scientists and flavor chemists. His chief architect, his chief training program is called S.K.I.L.L.S, S-K-I-L-L-S, which stands for the Sumner Katz Integrated Lab and Life Science System. And to date, he continually refines this program and is deeply involved with the scientists at Imbibe. Also this evening, joining us is Justin Kozlowski. Justin, can you wave? There we go, there he is. Justin earned his Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from DePaul University in Chicago. He then went on to obtain his master's degree in food science from the University of Illinois, and he received an MBA from the Kellogg School of Business at Northwestern University, an excellent program. He has been in the flavor industry for 17 years. Justin started his professional career at Flavor Chem in Downers Grove, Illinois, and he is now serving as the Director of Flavor Operations at Imbibe in Niles, Illinois. Since 2017, he has been the chairman for the Society of Flavor Chemists of Chicago, and in 2019, he served as the Society of Flavor Chemists Symposium chairman. We are so fortunate to have Sumner and Justin with us here tonight so that we can learn from them about their career journeys. And so some of you might be able to think a little bit differently about your career. To begin, we will start with a presentation from Sumner, and then that will be followed by Justin. And after Justin's presentation, we will have about 20 minutes of open question and answers from all of you. So throughout tonight's program, please feel free to use your chat function to submit a question at any time, and then Alex will come back on and help with the question and answer period. So we are going to go ahead and start now with Sumner's presentation. Make sure your volume is turned up so you can hear everything. Thanks.
Thank you, Rena. And everyone, I'm going to share my screen and play the presentation for you. Like Rena mentioned, I would encourage you all to turn your volume up a little bit louder than you might normally have it so you can hear everything. And then please just make sure that your microphone is muted to prevent any feedback while we go through this. I will go ahead right now and share my screen, and hopefully everybody can see that. And we'll go ahead and play the presentation.
In 1956, as a graduate of Tufts, I applied. I was accepted as a first-year dental student at the University of Pennsylvania Dental School. But within 6 months, I knew that I had made a wrong career choice. I could not master the hand-eye coordination that dental work required, and I realized it was time for me to abandon my dental dream and pursue a career which would support my scientific studies. Bearing that in mind, I became a devotee of the help wanted ads in the scientific journal. I accepted a position for a technical sales trainee, salary to be arranged, and after an exhaustive interview, became an administrative assistant to Gene Morgan, the president of Blue Steel Extract, a medium-sized manufacturer of flavors and extracts for the beverage and dairy industry, located in Cambridge adjacent to England. My first position was operating a solvent extraction room for Blue Steel Extracts, which extracted, among other things, dried imported ginger root from West Africa, using a 50% ethyl alcohol solution as a solvent. During this process, I discovered that the residue had a spicy character with no ginger flavor. By accident, I tasted the residue and it nearly burned my tongue. I brought the sample of the residue to the president for his evaluation. He said, "It looks and tastes like black pepper, all the spice characteristics, and none of the ginger heat." At that time, black pepper was 5 times as expensive as ginger ale. Gene Morgan, our president, immediately recognized the flavor of black pepper. Since black pepper extraction was considerably more costly than ginger, I had discovered a result which led to the creation of a potentially highly profitable product. Because of my success in my extraction venture, I was placed in charge of the operation of the solvent extractor. While developing systems for the production of flavoring compounds, particularly ginger, I recognized that there was a deficiency in the quality of private label beverages. Coincidentally, Topco, one of the largest private label resources, was located nearby in Skokie, Illinois. When I described the opportunity to our senior manager, I was told that the bottler who supplied Topco was a customer of Lucille Extract. After spending a great deal of time, I concluded that the Topco private label soft drinks were not national brand equivalents. After several visits to the Topco laboratory, their technical department acknowledged that our presentation provided a match that was virtually indiscernible from the national brand. Thus, the beginning of Contact International becoming the specified supplier of the flavors for the carbonated beverages for the Topco private label. Without recognizing, I had followed the key to a successful entrepreneurial model. Most of all, pick people who are who are better than what you do. One, find a commercially viable problem. Two, develop a unique solution. Three, ensure the sustainability of the solution. Four, make sure of the profitability. Five, build an effective team. An example of this resulted in the creation of 2 patents, which currently exist. It was not long after my meeting with Topco senior staff that I was given the opportunity to move to Chicago and call on not only the manufacturers of the grocery chain industry, but also the spices and meat industry. None of my clients were Kraft Foods. That was the beginning of the entrepreneurial venture of Sumner Katz. I was given the opportunity to start my own company, then called Contact International. Ultimately, name change went by. The understanding was that Lucille would produce my product and would extend me credit so that I could fund the initial manufacturing. In addition, my enthusiasm for solving problems gave me the opportunity to reach out into other areas and establish a reputation in the industry. I established a unique approach to beverage science and flavor chemistry when I made it a habit to spend time outside the laboratory in order to routinely visit beverage plants throughout North America. The resulting dairy beverage manufacturing and production expertise that I gained has been utilized by Imbibe ever since to develop manufacturing compatible systems which reduce plant error, optimize flavor yields, and ensure production quality state. In 1979, we contracted with the Department of Defense to develop milk and dairy ingredient technology that would be used to better provision American soldiers across the world. The contract oversaw the operation of 8 milk plants in 7 countries over 18 years, including Guantanamo Bay, South Korea, Greece, 2 plants in Japan, and 2 in Turkey. For the past 20 years, I've largely focused my time on training Imbibe's ever-expanding team of beverage science and flavor chemists. The Sumner Katz integrated lab and life system, Imbibe's proprietary approach, documents the skill sets, methodologies, and operational know-how every Imbibe scientist must learn and employ in their work. To this day, I continue to further develop and refine S.K.I.L.L.S, S.K.I.L.L.S, as Imbibe strives to maintain its position as the most innovative and responsive food producer in the world. I think about that 3-line ad for technical sales training, and I'm overjoyed that I found myself surrounded by a group of forward thinkers who are willing, although challenged, to rely on these words. That was the beginning of an entrepreneurial adventure, which has taken me and my companies from 2 employees in 1963 to over 100 today. As I look back, I find it difficult to believe that in 1956, I was sitting in your chair, oblivious to the adventure ahead. I wonder how exciting and unexpected your pathway will take you as you start adventures of your own. Thank you. Soon your career journey will begin. Make it a good one.
All right. Thank you, Sumner, for such a great presentation. I hope you all enjoyed that. And now we will go ahead and turn it over to Justin Kozlowski and let him take over. Justin, I believe you are still muted.
Okay, let me just go to the top. Sorry, I apologize. Perfect. Am I still muted?
You're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. Thank you so much for everyone attending this presentation. It looks like we have a huge amount of people, so we're really excited to be here, Sumner and I. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my career path, which is a little different than Sumner's career path, but I think there's some common themes between the two of us that is very familiar. And I think as everyone kind of grows in their career, you're going to have to kind of grow in different avenues and kind of grow with your career as you grow as yourself. So in summer of 2002, I had at my previous, where I went to college, I went to DePaul University, everyone in the chemistry department had to take a summer internship before you could graduate. So one of the things I had 2 internship interviews, and one was at Flavor Chem, and another one was at a biochemistry company. And the biochemistry company, I went in the interview and they said, you know what, today you're going to be doing amino acid titrations every day for the whole summer. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. But I was like, and then I went on to my other internship interview, and they had a bunch of odors, and they made me smell chemicals, and they're like, this smells like grass and banana and grape. And I was like, wow, I actually like this. And the second reason I really liked it was they had a box of Flavor Ice popsicle sticks. You know, if you've ever had a box of Flavor Ice popsicle sticks, when I was a kid, I was like, I really like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And that was kind of the change in my career path that I didn't know was actually around. One of the things about my career path that was kind of interesting is, so I had, my degree was in chemistry, specializing in biochemistry, but I was never really familiar with flavor chemistry. That was an interesting career path that I don't think a lot of people know. And when you talk about flavor chemistry, people are like, oh, that's a pretty cool job, you know? So it's a good icebreaker if you ever wanted something. But to understand a little bit about flavor chemistry, what you do is one of the few apprenticeships that you still work under someone for 7 years before you actually become certified with a degree as a certification as a flavor chemist. So the way how you go about it, that is, you work under someone for 5 years, and at the end of 5 years, you're eligible to take a written, oral, and odor examination. And basically what that is they have a bunch of questions, and you you have time to complete it, and then you have an odor portion where they ask you to smell different chemicals and decide if you can actually decipher those, as well as an oral question where they talk about your kind of career understanding of as being a flavor chemist. So that happens at 5 years, and then after you pass your junior flavors exam, another 2 to 4 years, you have to finish your certification. So at 7 years, you go in and you do another exam, which the questions are a little more difficult. Odors are more essential oils and chemicals, and you kind of grow there as well. But what they're looking for you to understand as you kind of grow over your 7 years is being able to speak in front of other people and kind of communicate with other business people as they come with new ideas or creations, and make sure that you're kind of able to talk and express what they're actually, their ideas of what they're kind of trying to communicate, and actually deliver that in some kind of taste or odor profile so that they can have an experience. When you're certified flavors, you're able to join the Society of Flavor Chemists as a certified flavors and participate in training younger generations to become flavor chemists in the future. You also have camaraderie within the organization. And if you make it to 10 years after you're certified, you become a senior flavorist. And then there's another person here that's in the room, but unfortunately we don't have the best thing, is Leslie Fisher, who has over 25 years as a flavor chemist, which you become a master's flavorist. But with understanding everything in the industry, I kind of want to talk a little bit about my career trajectory. So I began my career in a scientific capacity as a flavor chemist. So I was trained under that. I spent the first few years of my career honing and advancing my scientific skills by obtaining the flavor certification, and I also got a master's in food science. As I've gotten more opportunities to train and lead, I got a flavor for management and saw the benefit of having both a scientific background as well as a strategic management skills, which is both why I decided to get my MBA. While I'm currently a director level at Imbibe and I have a balance of management and science, I still feel that this role is a long-term career path with strategic business opportunities as well. So one of the things I want to kind of point out is that is in my 17 years of career is not only just taking work experience, but taking courses and offering courses, and people are able to take more courses as you go through your career, will help build the full essence for your career as you grow. So meaning when I graduated, I had a chemistry degree, but I didn't really have a good understanding of food science. So that's the reason why I went and I got my master's in food science from U of I, was to get the fundamentals of the understanding of why you're doing things. Because when you work at a lot of places, they tell you, do this, do that, but they don't actually always tell you why to do it. They just kind of explain to you to do it, and you're like, oh, that's great, and everyone follows that same path. But one of the reasons why I went to get my master's in food science was to actually understand why people were actually telling me to do that, and understanding like microbial and activities and stuff like that. So that gave me that aspect. But when I grew, I knew that in order to kind of grow as well, as I also had to be able to understand the business side of things, because when you're just a scientist, you understand scientific skills and honing those in, but you don't always understand, well, in order to sell this customer something, you can't sell them, like I always say, you can't sell them a Rolls-Royce flavor when they can afford a Chevy flavor. So you have to understand that, you know, even though you might want to sell them something that's great, you also have to be understanding of what their actual budget is when you're actually developing things. So being able to understand the customer and the client needs leads to a successful growth as a company overall. So this kind of highlights my kind of career over the past 17 years. But to understand how this correlates to Imbibe, you know, I think this is kind of a really big thing that I kind of wanted to just highlight over Sumner Katz in his original presentation. So this is Imbibe's career trajectory over the past 60 years, which Sumner Katz has kind of grown to where it has been today. Sumner Katz started a company with a vision in 1963. Him and one other person. In 1979, he established the first Q&A program by flavor manufacturing to test finished products, which a lot of times this didn't happen in the career. So he was already at the forefront of coming up with ideas. He began offering finished beverages and turnkey development services in 2007 to 2004. So this is kind of where this growth led to an idea to develop a flavor side of the company. Offering the flavor chemists and the PDs working side by side, we were able to offer many different lines for different companies, both grocery chains as well as large retail chains, to kind of come up with ideas and to offer differentiation of products. And this is where you kind of started seeing the company grow from 2 people, it went to 12 people. And, you know, this is where I started at the company. And then as we grew further in 2013, could you grab my cord, my bag, I apologize. I saw my computer screen. So as we grew into, when I started it, we were in a smaller facility. We moved to a 40,000 square foot beverage thing. We knew that we had to grow the company. As we grew, we started expanding even more people. So from when I started, when I was number 12 or 13, we grew all the way to 36. So we tripled in 2 years to grow the company as well. And this was where we started offering more turnkey solutions and offering products to bring customers finished products so that they can bring them to different trade shows, as well as to give customers what their experience would taste like in the finished product. Now going to 2017, we decided to grow our company even further. Now we're offering FMPs, which is new ingredients and ingredients by Imbibe that are offering different offerings. And now we're still kind of exploring new ideas and new products to the company. I apologize, my computer was starting to die. And FMP, let me explain to you, Leslie Fisher, who's here with us also, she goes like, what's an FMP? And I think that's a great one. So FMP is a flavor modifier property. So that basically changes the flavor in terms of adding sweetness, saltiness, or enhancing a flavor at a low level. So to kind of, let's sit there and say we have, let me throw this one. So if we have a caramel flavor and we want to enhance the saltiness, but not add the actual sodium to it, we would add an FMP for that point. Or if we wanted to add something that was going to be more something of an all natural, 0 calorie, or reduce the sugar, we could add an FMP to add some sweetness to it to enhance the flavor so it delivers the same mouthful. And then also people use them to add mouthfeel as people try to, the trend today is to reduce calories. And when you reduce calories, you take away sugar, which reduces mouthfeel. So people are looking at different ideas. Apologize. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about my career road map at Imbibe and kind of talk a little bit about understanding. From 2003 to 2011, I was really honing in on my science experience and kind of really getting that kind of growth. So when you kind of graduate at your university at Stetson's, you'll figure out, what am I going to do when I graduate? And for me, for those first 7 to 8 years, is I was trying to hone in on my science experience and kind of understand that aspect of it. As I grew with that, I felt pretty good, and I got the master's in food science and grew through coursework as well. But that's when I kind of started here, and we kind of started more of a flavor program. So quickly, I moved to director of flavor development. Then in 2013, we managed to start manufacturing our own flavors for Imbibe, and that was kind of growing Imbibe internally, as well as offering more customer product offerings, as well as offering IP, so intellectual property. So when we started there, we started offering our own flavors, which means that those are our marketable IP, which we can actually use, and if we ever decide to, we could sell those at a later time. 2014, I was director of flavor creation. 2015, I completed my MBA from Kellogg's, and we also decided to enter Imbibe's market into the TTB market. The TTB market is the Tobacco Trade Bureau, and it's Alcohol Bureau. So basically, that allows us to get into the alcohol business. So we started looking into different areas. Imbibe's business currently today is in a lot of the brewing beer industry and offering different malt type flavored beverages for the beer industry. So that's been growing for Imbibe, and as you guys can see, I'm pretty sure if you're over 21, I would sit there and say you probably had a crawl beverage in your time. and different options like that. And then 2016, we developed a flavor for a national brand that is still top-selling product in the marketplace. So that's one of the things that I think as a flavorist or in this finished food beverage that people might think about. When you actually see something that you see on the market that you've actually developed, you feel pretty proud of seeing something like that. So every time I go to a store to see this national product, I always have a smile in my heart, and I'm like, oh, that's a great thing. And now I have a daughter, and I'm like, oh, look at that, Daddy did that, and she always smiles on that one. So it's something to be proud of. You know, it's something that's exciting. In 2017, 2018, I chaired the Chicago SFC. And that's basically, there's about 400 Society of Flavor Chemists in the United States, so it's a very small industry, but in the Chicagoland area, there's over 100 flavorists in this area. So basically, we all get together, we have camaraderie, and we talk about different learning opportunities and different ideas and innovations in the industry. Leslie and I trained 3 successful flavorists, so we started a flavor training program when we started here, and again, that's that 7-year mentorship. So both Leslie and I kind of certified 2 people to be seniors, so they went through the 7-year thing, and 1 junior through the 5-year mentor. At that point, I moved more into the operations side. So as I started in the science, now I'm moving a little bit more onto the business side. And the great role of my director of flavor operations is I'm kind of the middle person between the understanding the science side as well as the business side, and I'm the person that communicates between both operation teams, because understanding Imbibe's growth is understanding, you know, how do we kind of grow with on the flavor side or the bench work of the science aspect, but then how do I actually work with the business side to make sure that that's profitable and that's turnkey and that hits all our clients' needs as well. So basically, it's a 2-part aspect, and knowing that kind of aspect is always a good thing. I still oversee and develop flavor creations and implement timely flavor development projects, but I also train and direct everyday logistics for the flavor creation lab as well. In 2019, I'm director of flavor operations still. That team develops more technical sides of aspects for more of the larger customers. But what does Imbibe do? You know, I think everyone kind of understands a lot of this, but one of the things that we have is we have a state-of-the-art 4,000 square foot pilot plant. And the reason why we needed this aspect to grow as a company is we needed to give customers an ability to show their product in something that they could actually relate it to. So it means different things that you might not actually think. So nitrogenation, right? So liquid nitrogen coffee, like cold brew coffee, nitrogen coffee, those are new aspects that wasn't around 10 years ago. These are new ideas. So when you as Imbibe is an innovator of product development, we have to come up with new ideas and be innovators and come up with things for different customers. So one of these things is we had to add nitrogen to our coffee lines. And that was a lot of work, you know, because you just don't just add nitrogen to the coffee and it works. So having scales and doing stuff on the bench side, we need to be able to make it work on the bench as well as scale it up to large scale production. And that's one of the big things that we do. We have a direct steam injection, hot fill. So hot fill is kind of similar to your Gatorades. So Gatorades, all Gatorade products are hot filled. So there's no preservatives in it. They just heat it up to 150, 175 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 30 seconds, and then they can pack it out. And that carbonation, we do a lot of carbonated beverages. Imbibe, we do stuff, a lot of private label, Coke, Dr. Pepper, as well as new stuff such as energy drinks, teas, waters, as well as the other area that is continuing to grow and it's been growing for the past 15 years is protein powders. Every time I turn around, there's more protein into a beverage. You know, I think when I started, it was like 3 grams. We're all the way up to like 15 to 20 grams per serving. So people are still kind of streaming towards that. So understanding what Imbibe offers for product lines is functional beverages, protein, coffee, non-dairy, dairy, CSDs, energy, juice, cocktail mixers. These products that we offer are all in the grocery chains, they're convenience stores, they're at national restaurants, cafes, and online retailers. But again, like I said earlier, the fun of being a flavor chemist or a food beverage scientist is exciting to see your product on the grocery shelf. I can't sit there and say that, you know, every new time I have a new person that works for me and then they see their finished product come over there, you see a gleam in their eye when they actually see their finished product on the shelf. It's exciting. And, you know, it's not only the science side, it's also the salesperson, the operation. I was literally just coming out of a meeting and we were having a toast section over Zoom with a large company over their new launch of their 5 SKUs with them, and they were toasting with us over Zoom. So I think as things change in today's world, you know, it's more hands-on with customers and having that kind of experience with them when you guys all celebrate together, when you start something at an idea and develop into something that's actually a reality that you can consume. So these are kind of a little bit of some of the stuff that we've done, but you know, over my career path, I've had the opportunities to do both the science and the business aspect, and I actually really like both of them. I don't think if you sat there 17 or 18 years ago when you said, what would you be doing in 20 years? I don't think I would have ever said that I was gonna be doing flavor chemistry. It's something that I kind of fell into and I really fondly love. So what I'm saying to you is, just because you have a chemistry degree or you have a biology degree or a business administration degree, you gotta love what you do. You're gonna be doing it for the rest of your life. You go to your job, you spend more time at work than sometimes with your family. So being there and making sure that you love what you do is a great thing. I tell you, I love working. I love going to work every day, and I love seeing everyone kind of grow in that. So, but I will stop sharing and open the floor. Sorry.
All right, thank you, Justin. Thank you for that presentation. And like you said, we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. We did have some questions coming in the chat box, but if you have any that come up as we go along, feel free to drop them in the chat box and we will get to them. So the first one that came in, what does a chemist's day look like at Imbibe?
That's a great question. You want to start with this? What's a chemist day look like at Imbibe? So I'll explain to you how a normal day for a flavor chemist or a chemist day for Imbibe. So we start off every morning with the organoleptics. So we have a round table of about 10 people and someone pulls, basically we have about 1,200 chemicals that we have to use as organoleptic. And what we do is at 8:20 in the morning, everyone pulls a blotter and they submit what they think the chemical is. And then we have a term where we go around and it's like more like a round robin and everyone says what they think the odor is, where they would use that chemical, and then the guess of what they think it is. The purpose of it is actually to do 2 aspects. It's so that we're all saying the same thing. We use a term called green. Like no one would understand what green would mean, but green means grassy. So like a chemical that is grassy, if you're a chemistry student, would be cystearihexanol. So cystearihexanol smells like wet grass. So like as soon as you cut the grass, that's the chemical. Or another chemical is amyl acetate. It smells like bananas. It's that runts kind of banana note. So we go through these chemicals so that we build a lexicon as well as train the flavorists to kind of understand that. The second aspect of that is we usually have a project. It could be a creative project. So for us today, we were working on a protein powder mix for a gaming company. And that's adding different flavors. So I think the 3 flavors that we worked on today was a berry flavor,
Sour
a
cherry.
sour cherry, and we worked on a green apple. So these were the 3 flavors that we worked on. We were trying to develop the profile so it came through in a kind of a protein, highly acidic, vitamin-based supplement that they'd make in their product. So We tasted that, and you know, we were trying to make sure that when we taste something, we want it to be uniform. So when you taste it at the beginning, middle, and end, it doesn't come across as we use the term peaky, but basically it's uniform throughout. So when you taste it, when you bite an apple, it tastes like an apple. And most of our products, we do that. And then, let's see, we do a lot of tasting. I'm pretty surprised that I'm still as skinny as I am for the amount of food I've eaten over my career of 20 years. But we do drink a lot of sugar water. I'd sit there and say I probably drink a liter of sugar water to a half a liter a day. But overall, that's about the normal day. For me, that's part of my day. And then as well as I work with our manufacturing and our operations team to make sure that we meet our deadlines for our customers, to make sure that they hit their bottler or packaging company so they finish that product on time. Because not only do we have to develop the flavor side, we have to make sure that it delivers to the customer, because the customer has usually some kind of bottling time or packaging time reserved. And if they don't meet that time, then they get charged a fee. So we try to make sure that we meet their deliverable time of 15 days when they place their order. And I also play with, if you have a complaint or something else, I will talk to you as well as talking to your issue and making sure that you're happy and you walk away with your experience as fixed and resolved quickly. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And then the next question we had come in is for Sumner. Mr. Katz, you are a legend in your field who is known throughout the world for your business success, your kindness, and philanthropy. What advice can you give students who want to be successful in both their private life and in their profession?
Be born to a multi-millionaire. That was a joke. I don't know if it was a bad joke, but that was meant as a joke. You know, so I've been sitting on a chair listening to Justin, and I have an amazing respect for him. But he and I do things a little differently. I use him to give me things that I need, and he does. And I'll give you the example of that, and I think you'll get it. Unfortunately, I don't have the can with me, but I can tell you that about 5 years ago, I went to, we have a significant amount of business in Brazil. So about 5 or 6 years ago when I was there, I tried to explain to them the validity of having a flavored tea. And they explained to me that flavored tea doesn't make sense there. Tea, people drink tea there when they're sick. And they only want, and you come here from the States and you try to give a sick medicine. We don't need a sick medicine. I said, give me a break. I said, oh, let me explain something. So I prepared to put together, using my colleagues' materials, put together some teas that had, and they were very impressed with them. So impressed that they said to me, we'll do a program on this in three months. 90 days I came back and was absolutely the most shocked person in the world, because we had a meeting. I was the only English speaker there. We had a meeting and they were talking to me about things that they had done. And they took a can out. And the can had a picture on it. And the picture was me. I'm sorry I don't have it here, but the only one I had was, I should have brought it. But I didn't know what to do. And so back and forth the discussions went. And we now are in the Sumner Katz flavored tea business in Brazil. Now, to me, that's what flavor is all about. Without Justin and without his team, without his kids that bust their backs to get past through the startup, without that, there would be no Sumner to have these things that I have. So all I'm saying to you is that if you have an interest in the things that I've said, Justin said, please take that interest and spread it. Talk with your professors, talk with your colleagues, talk with your classmates, spread it around so that you can know that you have a chance. I started the company in 1963. And the first customer I had was Topco Associates, the largest buying group in private label. And we still, to this day, have the flavor business with them. And so all I can say to you is there are two different concepts of what we do. Justin's far more specific than I, and I had to learn about things. But when Justin came to interview, and I asked him, what are your plans for here? What do you want to do? He said, I want to learn, I want to teach you how to make the concepts that which you've been talking about, and to bring them home. And he's done it. And he's remarkable with it. He's known. I happen to be known because I probably have a big mouth. But he's known as one of the real leaders now. So anyway, that I thought you might get a kick out of the resiliency with my picture.
I have a quick question for my dad. Hi, Dad. How are you? I'll see you soon. See you in about a week. But so I have a vivid memory in around 3rd or 4th grade, you came into my science class and you presented when you made the Jolly Rancher soda.
Right.
Very fun. But this is for Justin and my dad. You guys have worked on like countless products, but what was your product that was most enjoyable for you to create and like testing?
You did it. You did. I don't want a tear to run down my face, but I can tell you that those things that we did from 2nd grade to 7th grade really made me love what I was doing and sharing it with you and your brother and your sister. Thank you, Vanessa.
Yes.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Sumner. That was great. So another one came in the chat too for either Sumner or Justin, whoever would like to tackle it. To someone who would like to become a flavor chemist, what advice would you give about graduate school? Would you recommend applying to more general food science programs or flavor chemistry programs?
You did.
So I would sit there and say, there's not a lot of flavor chemistry programs out there, first of all. Yeah, I would only say Minnesota and Rutgers and Cornell are the 3 universities on that one that offer a program on that one. For food science, I think there's a lot more food science programs that would offer that. The other avenue that I think, so if I was gonna go for a food science, I think there's a lot of food science universities as well as to go there one. If you're gonna go for a flavor chemistry, there's only 3 schools that I know about there. Rutgers is really good on spray drying. That would be kind of areas for focus on that. Cornell and Minnesota Minnesota's also really good for spray drying as well. So, and then Cornell is an overall flavor chemistry program. I think those are the only 3 ones that I can think of if you sat there and said that.
I remember.
Yeah, and I think that's only been around in the past 7 years. So those would be the great schools I would do that one. If you were deciding not to go to master's or graduate school right away, the other option would be to work into, because it's an apprenticeship, to reach out to either try to get an internship. I was fortunate to get an internship right out of school, or reach out to different companies, look for an internship, or actually, the other good aspect that I always sit there and I always do this as well is if someone emails me or LinkedIn's different people in the food science or in the flavor chemistry who's got a degree, say, hey, are you offering internships? You know what? That outreach is always a big thing. I think most people in the flavor industry are always willing to help other people to kind of do it. And I think the thing that most people who are in the flavor chemistry want someone is that they have interest in the field, because it's a 7-year apprenticeship. So when you train someone for 7 years or you study someone, you're actually not only you studying and learning, but the actual company or whoever's training you is actually giving up their time to make sure that you learn the actual trade. So it's actually it's a both person 100% involved in it. So it's not like someone, like I say, everyone who's in our we have a flavor training program, and everyone that's in it, I ask them to actually be part of it and train it and learn it as well, because you want them to have that determination and initiative to kind of want to learn. My point is, as you work and you are in the field or you're in this thing, for me to train someone, I want to make sure that they're in it for the long haul. They're not just in it just for the career growth. It's because you love it and you want to be there for every day. Because 7 years is a long time. So, and one of the things as a flavorist is our job is very subjective. So when you taste something, someone might say that's horrible and icky and spit it out. And the first thing I always sit there to say is that person is, okay, what do you not like? And asking that question first is to understand what they didn't like. Usually they'll tell you right off the bat real fast on that one. And then you ask, was there anything you liked about it that, I know you didn't like it, but was there anything you liked about it? And asking what they did and build upon what they liked upon it and figuring out what they didn't like and removing those components. So understanding that when you give someone something to taste, you have to swallow a little bit of your pride and understand what they want and make sure that you're developing their idea, not just what you want.
Absolutely.
There is another thing that's of interest. Right next to me is Amy Bashara.
Hold on, I'll put her on there. So there's 2 other people in our room. I apologize.
Amy had joined us about 7 years ago. And after the first 2 years, I convinced her by taking her into the laboratory. And I said, what do you know how to do? And she says, well, I'm sort of an artist. I said, show me. And he started sketching and she started doing things. Right now, we can present a flavored beverage to any customer in the world that is absolutely unbelievable, because she has been able to put it together. So it was one of the things I would recommend to people who want to get into flavor business. Let them do a little bit like the flavor creation, but also let them do a little bit of the creation of what the product looks like. We have products that we look at them and we say, that whole bunch, remember you saw those cans in the here? Those are all things that we've done to help people to make those products look. So Amy is wonderful. Amy can do it, and the people here are grateful for having her.
Well, thank you.
No.
That's true.
Yeah. Amy is a blessing every day. Like I tell you, she takes things and just because you have something that tastes good, the visual aspect is just as important.
Right.
How quickly, what you would think that when you look at a product on a shelf, you have to make sure it stands out, that someone actually picks it up.
Right.
And there's some things like, I tell you, I took an art course, I passed, I got a B, but I took 4 hours to 6 hours to draw an apple and a fruit on a bowl. And my roommate in college, he was able to draw that in 20 minutes and then go out and have fun with his friends at the bar. And I remember sitting there 4 to 6 hours taking this art course, and I'm like, I don't have it. But like, I asked Amy to do something and she can do it, and it turns out so well, and something that I just, everyone has different talents and strengths. And Amy definitely has a talent for the artistic eye.
I think I'm lucky to be in a company that has an in-house design team. I'm the creative director. So the fact that they value marketing and design on top of flavor and beverage creation is, it's a holistic approach. So I'm lucky. here.
Absolutely, and thank you all for sharing that. I think we've got time for one more question that came in. So are flavorants synthesized from organic chemical feedstocks, or are they more commonly extracted from a biological source?
That's a great question. So there is a lot of truth behind it. So organic flavors are an area on itself. So most organic flavor chemicals are made from some natural occurring organic product. So let's say I was literally just dealing with this with our big certified company is Oregon Tilth, and I was literally playing with them for an hour and a half this morning on that. But in essence, most chemicals that are naturally occurring are made from some natural fruit or source. So cystearihexanol is in apples, so they might source it from apples. Areas of coffee, we were talking about coffee furanone today, which is that coffee roasted note in coffee. That's actually extracted from coffee itself, the coffee beans when they roast it. Other avenues, they can do citric acid. Citric acid is made by fermentation of yeast. It's a byproduct of that, but it's naturally occurring. Sometimes people use organic citric acid, which is actually from different fruits. Sometimes they get it from lime, sometimes they get it from lemon, but they will actually get other and apples as well to source natural citric acid there as well. Essential oils are a common theme. So orange oil, lemon oil, lime oil, a lot of like ingredients that come out of chemicals come directly from the natural essential oil itself. So basically people crush orange oil and let's say you're making orange juice, right? So orange juice, they make oranges, they crush the orange juice, or they actually pull the actual essential oil out, and the oil will rise to the top. They collect that oil, and now you have your orange oil that people will buy and use in products. So most organic chemicals, yes, you can get some chemicals, but most organic chemicals I've seen are not from feedstocks, but most commonly ones are sourced. Person put vanillin. Vanillin comes from clove. So most vanillins come from clove. If you want vanillin from vanilla beans, it can be sourced, but it's very, very expensive. So most times clove is a common theme. Peppermint, so peppermint, or people will get menthol, but there's an ingredient called corn mint oil, and that's where most menthols get from. That gets you that cooling aspect for dental products, as well as a cheaper version of peppermint shakes or peppermint candies. But yeah, does that answer your question, Josh? Joshua, I apologize.
And thank you, Joshua. That was a great question. Yes, it did. Thank you, Justin. So I know we have a lot of Stetson students on the call tonight, and I appreciate you all joining. So I am going to invite one of our amazing faculty members, Dr. Harry Price, on for just a moment to give a few brief remarks for the group.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you very much, everybody. This was really great. I'm going to keep it general because I know we're running out of time, but I would like to take a few extra minutes here to say a few things. I think it's very important. First of all, I'd like to really thank Rena, Alex, Justin, Sumner, and everyone who put this together. I really didn't do too much, and I'm humbled that I would even be considered as participating. I would like to give a little history, okay? I really want to give a little history on this. I'm from Chicago. I went to the University of Illinois, Chicago. And I have my PhD in chemistry. There's something that a lot of people really they don't know about the Chicago area. And the Chicago area is Justin and Sumner, Vanessa, and others, you know, the junction, right? The junction, Toohey Avenue, 7700 North. You know, I got to give a shout out to Skokie and Niles, etc. but there historically, that area is an extraordinarily rich area of industrial chemistry for many fields. Abbott Laboratories, the food chemistry production. Archer Daniels Midland used to be on the near southwest side of Chicago, and now you're Imbibe, FMC. But when I was in graduate school at the University of Illinois Chicago, I used to study organic chemistry, certain reactions, because we were tested on certain syntheses. And I used to read, now this is nerd, okay, but I'm gonna take this opportunity because I think this is important. Justin and Sumner, I used to read the Aldrich catalog because that was the reference source for flavor and fragrance compounds. Okay, and I didn't know enough, even though I had a job for 3 years as a quality control chemist, as an undergrad at Archer Daniels Midland doing protein powder analysis. Justin, you mentioned protein powders. I didn't know enough that, that was where it was going in terms of flavors and the real importance of applied chemistry. I understood applied chemistry for other things, but never thought about it in terms of food. Oh my gosh! And Kraft, you're in Niles. Kraft Foods was a big center of production and research and development. And so what you talked about tonight, and as you described your journey, Justin, and Sumner was so gracious in how he described his serendipitous journey, okay? So often over the years, we teach chemistry to students, and it's often not appreciated with regard to the fact that I'm biased, the most important applied science, because it touches just about everything that people do or rely on, but we don't appreciate that. And what you talked about tonight was just wonderful. And I would just like to take a few more minutes, because I might not have this opportunity again. I will extend my willingness, Justin and Sumner, to work with you, to collaborate, okay? If that's possible. But if you would like to initiate a conversation, I would like to establish and initiate that conversation with you, okay? But for the students, whether you're in science or in business, for the second time, we've been very fortunate to have an opportunity for professionals, right, to clearly explain to us the importance of a number of things that we try to teach in the classroom, okay? And I've been taking little notes during the course of this, and I would just like to have the courtesy of reading these off, okay? In Justin's presentation, he mentioned the 5 tips, okay? I hope that we would have opportunity to the students to review your slides, Justin, because those 5 tips were golden, okay? You mentioned 7 years is a long time, but in any level of professional development, that's about right. You go to college, you get your undergrad for approximately 4 years. You might go to graduate school for another 2, maybe 4 years. Then you do a postgraduate residency, internship, apprenticeship for another 3 or 4 years. When everything is said and done, that's 7 to 12 years before you're experienced enough to really sink your feet and go for it, as we would say, right?
Mhm.
So that's really realistic. So it's, you know, whether it's law or business, you know, finance, etc. You know, so that was wonderful that you mentioned 7 years. And the fact that you mentioned in your slide, consider the then and now, all right? That's looking ahead. You know, what you're doing now is, you know, then if you're doing it for 20 years, you know, because now is at this moment. And as professionals, one of the things we would like to train and impart upon our students is that you have to be forward thinking and see the big picture.
Right.
And you can only do that if you think about then and now from a historical perspective. So that was wonderful. Thank you. Okay. You want to also, you know, there was a slide, appreciate growth, personal growth, professional growth. Your career is about evolution, evolution of ability, evolution of skills. Okay. You may begin as a scientist or, you know, what have you, or a person with business acumen, but do not, as my students know, I'm big on about compartmentalization. And this is an example where you do not want to compartmentalize. You may start in one area, but do not limit yourself to that myopic view. Branch out, appreciate what everybody does, because one, it's about teamwork, it's about collaboration, it's about sharing ideas and concepts, because one person can't do it, but a team can. And at the very end of the conversation this evening, Justin and his colleague, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, were exchanging compliments about, you know, how they effectively feed off of one another and work for the better good. I'm almost done, but you know, and you also want to appreciate from this discussion this evening, this presentation, this notion of value added. Okay, something else that we try to impart that may not sink in immediately, but you know, hopefully in a latent sense it will. You're learning something now, but it does have value, and you can apply that value moving forward into the future. Okay, but try to avoid, try not to fall into that false sense of, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I learning this? Well, you know, be honest with you, I kind of wish I had figured out, oh yeah, hey, you know, extract of ginger, you know, cha-ching, you know, I'll be quite honest about that. That's, you know, I'm almost done. And understand too, it was mentioned this evening on a number of levels for those of you in business and in the STEM, strategic business opportunities. Okay, the key operative word there is strategic. You know, everything is a step, right? It's a step in your evolution. That's part of a strategy. You're not going to get it all in 4 years. It may take 17 years, right, Justin? Or it may take 30 years or 40 years. But you just keep moving forward, being strategic. You want to be a lifelong learner. Absorb every opportunity you have to understand, especially from an operational perspective, as Justin was mentioning. Listen to what people are saying in those meetings and things like this. You know, for marketing, get a sense of, you know, the style, the nuances. Ask questions, but learn. Because you can't always get a degree in something, but you can always learn about something. Okay. And lastly, and I will be done because this is really uncharacteristic of me to speak this long. This is all about evolution of ability. Okay. You have been provided through your effort, through your privileges, an opportunity to grow both intellectually and from a perspective of applied knowledge. And I sincerely hope, and I wish, I really do, that something like this discussion this evening can trigger a light bulb, trigger some idea or motivation that pushes you potentially in a different trajectory, along a different path. And so with that, thank you very, very much. This was wonderful.
Bravo.
Thank you, Dr. Price, and thank you all for sticking around tonight. And I'm just going to invite one of my favorite hatters on for just a brief moment, Liz Connor from the Career Office, to share some resources with you all.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone again for coming. I will make it short. I'm Liz Connor from the Career Office. So all of those out there who are arts and science students, I'm here to help you with your job search and grad school search. So let me know if there's anything I can do. So really quick, I just wanted to drop something in the chat that will be really helpful on your career journey, looking for internships and utilizing all the knowledge and the advice that was shared tonight. I literally, after this presentation, I feel like I don't even need to do this. You got it. They got it. So go to them for advice. But what I dropped in the chat just now is a link to our website where all of our virtual resources are, where you can learn more about internships and get job searching advice and then connect with us. And then on behalf of our office, I just again wanted to thank everybody for joining, and thank you Mr. Katz and Justin for sharing all of this great knowledge. This has been wonderful. And then my last thing is any alumni who are on the call or soon to be alumni on the call who are graduating, just know that our office, in addition to the alumni office, are here to help you. You have free lifetime services with our office. So if we can help you get on your chemistry journey or your flavor journey, let us know how we can help, and I'll drop my LinkedIn in there. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Liz, for sharing. And yes, please, everyone take advantage of the awesomeness that is Liz Connor and their office. They are so incredible and so very helpful. So before we close it out, I will go ahead and let you all know what I know you're all looking forward to the cultural credit that's offered this evening. So here is how you're going to obtain that. I am going to drop a link in the chat now that you'll fill out the cultural credit form. And I need you to do that in the next 24 hours so I can get your names to the registrar. The registrar will then give you your cultural credit from there. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat box now. That's the first way that you're going to get your cultural credit. You're going to fill out that form. And the next way, I just need you to help me wish Sumner a very happy birthday. He celebrated his 87th birthday yesterday. So I thank all of you for joining. I thank you, Sumner, for celebrating with us tonight. And I thank you both, Justin and Sumner, for such a great presentation. Thank you, Rena, Harry, Liz, Sumner, and Justin for all your amazing work that went into making this happen. And again, thank you all to joining. I will drop the link to the cultural credit form again in the chat box before we go. And if anybody else from the panel wants to have any closing remarks, feel free to hop on and say them now.
I just want to say that I am going to ask Sumner and Justin Vanessa's question again after we're done, because I want to hear your favorite product that you worked on. So if anybody wants to hear it, stay on.
Yes, feel free to stick around for a few minutes. And I know students, just one more message for you all. I know it's been a very long, tough semester. We are so appreciative of all the work you all do for Stetson. Best of luck on all your final exams, and please be safe and enjoy your winter break. You all deserve it. Thank you all for joining.